Let's go on an early September garden tour, including all of the plants I will not be growing next year and a few plants I'll be moving to different locations. Welcome to Joy in the Garden. This area right here is looking pretty glorious in early September. Now, I would say, in comparison to all the other gardens in my landscape, this area is looking the best. And that's because we've had a very, very hot summer, and there's a lot of things that are really tired. So, this space right here, I call this a bird bath garden. It's considered part sun. It gets morning shade and afternoon and early evening sun. So it does get quite a bit of sun, but there is some break there. So in this space here, I would say the thing that's really showing off is the firelight hydrangea back there. Now, the firelight hydrangea usually gets about 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide. This one's about 4 years old and it's just not getting that large. I'm guessing that's because, maybe not enough sun. It was damaged when I purchased it. I bought it like in the fall. It had been sitting in a nursery all season. But regardless, I actually love it this size. So if it never gets bigger, I'm actually okay with that. Now, also in this space, this is an incredible hydrangea right here that I actually thought I purchased a ruby. Actually, it was tagged as a ruby. But sometimes accidents are happy accidents. And I actually think that that incredible has been really pretty there. Now it has started to brown up, get a little crispy there. I removed a couple of them, but I think it's actually looking okay. So I'll leave the rest of them. Then we have this midnight sun weigela down here, and I am an absolute fan of that shrub. It only gets about 1.5 by 1.5 feet tall and wide. I have some coral sedum right there in front. And that, I think, I don't know, that color just really looks so nice in the fall, but it's actually that color most of the season as well. I do think that I am going to repeat this skyscraper orange salvia here. I think the little blooms there kind of pull out the colors in like that firelight and that pinky winky. And I've actually really switched to more corals, borderline reds back here. So I'm really liking that new salvia. This pinky winky hydrangea right here, it is a standard. I purchased it that way. That means that the grower actually created a stem. So this has been really pretty. I'm excited as this actually gets bigger. And there are 7 wee white hydrangeas. You can see some new blooms there, some crispy blooms. I am going to be going in there and removing more of the crispy blooms. I did it once this year. Our temperatures, oh gosh, when did this start to happen? Probably like a week and a half ago, maybe. They just started getting crispy. So that's pretty good. And last year, this beautiful group of 7 wee whites actually turned really pretty. All the foliage turned yellow. So I hope that happens this year again. Different weather for different years can have an impact on plants. So sometimes you just never know. Now, what will I be changing in here? So I had this beautiful yarrow right here. I love, 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 love that texture. I like the dark green of it. I know a lot of yarrows kind of have a blue-gray, really pretty texture like that, but I like this green color in here. This is the Millie Rock terracotta yellow. Yes, I think that's it. Yarrow. So it was quite a bit taller before I trimmed it back, but it's too crowded in here. So a couple things I need to do. This is, poor little guy in here, that's actually a ruby smooth hydrangea. I'm going to be removing that because it just doesn't fit in here. When this yarrow comes up, that ruby gets absolutely no sun. So I'm going to be removing that, and I will put it over in a newer area that I've developed. And then I think I'm actually going to divide each one of these and go from 3 plants. You can kind of see the 3 plants, 1, 2, 3, to 6 plants. And I'll probably just come in here and kind of just cut it. I'll show you that on film. And then I'm going to move one of these back just a little bit, just to give a little more space to the lady's mantle here in front, which is so pretty. But this all got really crowded this year. So I probably won't, well, I do have a blue boa agastache in there that just gets lost. And I am going to remove that and move it over to this garden bed over here because I have two other blue boas there. So one thing I really learned this year is just how much plants, when the plants around them grow and they need full sun, they're not going to do much because they all of a sudden they go from sun to shade when the plants around them get really tall. Now, as we head over here, I will say this area probably will have the least amount of changes, but there are a few things that I do want to change up. So this is a low growing sedum here, and I think I'm going to remove that and plant some kufia. This is kufia right here. It's an annual. This is hummingbird's lunch. I am not going to plant that variety in this container because I think it just kind of took its habit kind of pushed everything else to the side. And throughout the summer, some of the other plants were struggling. So what I've actually, in my recent trip to Proven Winners and all the other nurseries in the past week, at Garden Crossings, they had a kufia called Honeybell's Kufia. And it's kind of a low growing kufia. And I think I could do two plants right here and they would be beautiful because what I did notice is the hummingbirds really prefer the kufia over the salvia. They'll go to the salvia, but this kufia really attracted them heavily. So I'm going to add a couple lower growing kufia and not plant that in that container. So speaking of the containers, I've been trying to really get the containers back here right for a while. So this one right here is in part sun. And then I have one across the way that is in part shade. So I've been I like them to be similar. They don't have to be exactly similar, but I want them to feel like they're more matching containers. So that's why this year I actually tried this kufia in here, and I did not put that in the part sun one because I knew it wouldn't like it there. So in this container, I think I will repeat everything but the kufia. I do really like all the other plants. That is sweet potato vine, surefire rose begonia. This is Road Trip Coleus. I love that one. This is my second year with that one. I hope the grower that I get it from continues to grow it. There's so many Coleus. And actually, I usually like all the Proven Winners ones in the ground because they're the strongest, the tallest, everything else. But in this space, I love that Road Trip Coleus. And the other thing that's in this container that I would like to repeat, you can barely see it now. It is the Hula Pink begonia. It is under there. And that's okay. Sometimes as you get later in the season, some plants get swallowed up. But earlier in the season, that was a really important part of this container. So I would love to repeat that as well. So I think the only difference in this container is probably going to be I'm just not going to have the kufia in here. And we'll see. Maybe I'll find some other plant, but I think what happened this summer is I had so many plants and it was really, really hot, in that container, it's just a lot of roots. So I want to give the other plants some more space. Now, as I pull back a little bit here, there's some more lady's mantle, this beautiful plant that I always forget the name of that I'm going to put on the screen, curly fries, Helen von Stein, I should say curly fries, hosta, Helen von Stein, lamb's ear. I have some ajuga here. This is the Burgundy Glow variety, and I think I'm going to try putting it over here. Now, I don't know if it likes that much sun, but I'm going to try because this is really starting to fill in between the pathway, which I really, really like. The little lime hydrangea here is looking beautiful. This is my oldest hydrangea, probably, 15 years old now, and it did not always turn this beautiful pink color as we got to cooler evenings. So I'm very happy with that. And then this is Midnight Wine Shine Weigela here, which, considering this is part sun and, gets quite a bit of shade, it's really kept its color wonderfully. So, and then under that Weigela is Stained Glass hosta. Really pretty. I have that repeated as well as curly fries repeated. You'll see some guacamole coming up here. Now, I have quite a few things going on in this space right here, which I love. Um, Copper King Heucherella. There's another surefire rose. This is a praying hands hosta. It's a dahlia that I'm hoping will bloom. I'll put the variety up there. Not coleus, caladium. I'm loving me some caladium this year. This is the white queen caladium. And that is the green velvet boxwood. 5 Bobo hydrangeas here. And this one at the end here is a little slower than the other ones, but now it's all caught up. You can see it's a little shorter because it gets a little less sun. Now, in between there, you cannot see them, but I have the autumn frost hosta, and I'll put a photo up here if I can find one. Earlier in the season, when the bobos are not blooming, those hostas are key for this space. They really provide a lot of, just foliage prettiness. This is a mini me watermelon coleus. That's an annual, proven winners. Guacamole hosta. Love that color. More lamb's ear. There's another one of those autumn frost hostas with more of the white queen caladium. And I also have the white queen caladium right here with curly fries hosta, Jack Frost, Brunnera, allium. This is the Millennium allium, and I have that repeated. You can see out there. And then I also have the Ajuga, the Burgundy Glow, growing in here. So I might add, if I can find some on sale or something this fall, I might add some more. So let's look at this container. So there is that same coleus road trip. There's a surefire rose begonia. Now, it did not bloom as much on this side, but it did continue to bloom. So this, I think, is starting to get a little part shady, not parts, So it gets, actually, I should call it dappled sun. It's really dappled sun. This is a hula pink begonia. Now, I think that is beautiful. I do love it. So I like the continuity, between the two containers. They're not exactly the same. Different things grow better, different things, So on here, I think what I need to do is actually maybe put 2 of the coleus on this side, because I do have the sweet potato vine somewhere back there. I know it's kind of crazy that the sweet potato vine doesn't take over, but that way I think I could bring a little more color here. And then again, there's that skyscraper orange salvia. So I do think here I would rinse and repeat, but maybe add another one of the coleus there. And this is a new area that I actually created in the spring, and I only have 3 plants in it. And I did use the method of putting cardboard down with mulch on, or I should say compost on top. And then I did put some mulch on top because I wanted that compost to stay in place. So this is an incredible, this one over here is a Sublime Prime that I moved from a different place. And this is lace. Yeah, incredible lace. So these 3 have kind of just been sitting here all year. I purposely not really done this. I want the ground, the compost to really work its way in. So when I talk about where am I going to put certain plants, move certain plants, a lot of them are being moved to this area. So for instance, that ruby hydrangea will be moved in this place, possibly 2 rubies. So over here, this is another of the Midnight Sun Ligelas, and you'll notice the coloring is a little different here. And I think that's because it doesn't get quite as much sun. The sun really makes it turn more and more colors, but it's still very pretty. And as the fall approaches, it will look beautiful. There's a surefire rose begonia again. This is the lavender bubbles allium. It is the last to bloom in my garden. So bubble bath first, then millennium, and then this lavender bubbles. I do love the lavender bubbles, but just take the stance of it. It's a little more weepy. Now, in a way, that's kind of a natural looking area. It looks great here. I added it to the front bed, and I don't like it as much because I have some annuals that it kind of weeps over. So I don't love how that works. I think I'm going to be moving that in the front back here. More Millennium Allium. It's going out of uh, getting spent. Stained glass hosta, Diamond Lake, another begonia. And then we have a couple of Limetta smooth hydrangeas, which earlier in the season, they are kind of the show because they start coming out, wow, in early June. So I have 3 of them back here. I do really, really love them. They stay really nice in the fall too. So like here, there's one crispy one. I'll cut that off. But in general, this Limetta stays really pretty for me in the fall. There's another. That's actually pink, uh, a winged begonia. So a little different there. And this is another ruby here, a baby ruby. That's Sun King Aurelia, Wee Hosta, more curly fries hosta, Diamond Lake, and then Autumn Frost hosta. So just a bunch of different, really foliage items in this space. And then I really like how you can now see the bobos over the wall. So I will say, as far as changes in this area, this, I think this is one of the round, see, that gets kind of pinkish. I'll put the name of that sedum there. But look at how it's already flopped way open. So I need to divide that, move that in some other places. I don't know if this is the best place for some sedum. I just don't think it gets enough sun, which I'm not complaining about because I really do love part shade. So I do have a couple plants that I will be putting in the ground here pretty soon. This is the Temple of Bloom Seven Suns tree. I have that in the ground. I pulled it out because I wanted to put to a different spot. It got so hot, so I just wanted to kind of baby it under here this summer. And this is a Bartzella Etah peony. So I found that for $17. I put one in a different place, and I just have been babying that all summer, and I will show you where I'm going to move that. This area right here gets morning sun and afternoon shade. In the way back is Pinky Winky, Bobo Hydrangea, Curly Fries, Caramel Hosta, Guacamole Hosta. Let's see. Grass, Hekahana grass, Japanese forest grass, let's just say that. A whole lot of fun stuff going on here. There's actually a pot in there. So I have some caladiums, multiple varieties. I'll put that on the screen. These I have put every year. I love, 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 love. This is Albrido, Dream, and then Dipped in Wine. I love those 3 together. I love those 3 together. So this is an area that I have been waiting for this boxwood to get taller here. It is the, can't remember which variety, mountain green velvet. Maybe that's what it's called, boxwood. It should get about 5 feet tall, but I am thinking about putting a sting arborvitae back in there. So, if I kind of pull back, I just really feel like something needs to be there that's kind of tall, and I don't mind that window being blocked a little bit. The sting arborvitae only gets like 1.5 feet wide. So we'll see. I got to look at that a little bit closer. So this is the Royal Purple Smokebush that was pruned in late July. So all of the deep burgundy, all that you see right there, that's all new growth from July. So it's filling in really, really, really pretty. And this is another guacamole hosta, some caramel, corabels. I had corabels that struggled more this year because of our heat and stuff. I have to blame myself probably because I tried to move things around. I found this Georgia peach. It was too hot. I bought it, put it in the ground, moved some of these caramels around, and when it's hot out, do not try to transplant. I know a lot of people do, and they do it real successfully, but I don't have drip. So that was not a bright idea on my part. Now let's turn around right here. And this is what I have been calling the new garden bed. So um, it's looking, a lot of things are looking great. Ugh, I just hate the firelight tidbit. They turned like in the last week, and I don't have drip back here. So we were hot, and we had so much nice rain all summer, but we didn't have rain for like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something. We just had a nice rain this morning, but that'll do it for them. Now, honestly, even though I look at them, I go, ugh, as we get into fall, they're tan, they're turning tan, not crispy brown. So, as long as they stay this color, I think I'll leave them. I don't know. If you're like me, sometimes you just you wake up one day and you're like, I gotta get rid of those blooms. Now for me, in my zone 5B, we can get a lot of snow, we can get a lot of ice in central Iowa. So I do remove all of the hydrangea blooms for the winter. I had a winter a couple years ago that, you know, just broke some branches, and once that happens to you once, you won't let it happen again. So here, the blue fortune agastache, I can't even say that, agastache. Still, look at all the flowers. I mean, the foliage is definitely looking tired, but that thing is, I don't know. I think it's on week 8 now, flowering. So that's great. One thing, this is the first year I grew celosia. I will grow celosia again. This is the rainbow sherbet variety. I do love that variety. Now, I also grew some other varieties I didn't love as much. The flamingo pink variety, I do love that. Look at that right there. Isn't that pretty? But I think I'm learning what spots to put the celosia. Like I kind of put it, right here, this big batch right here, right in front of the Pinky Winky hydrangea. And I just don't like how that looks. Not to mention, back here, I actually have the new Rebecca that's coming out next year. From Proven Winners, I can see a few flowers. I did have to cage it. This is the Treasure Trove Rebecca. You can barely see it back there because all that celosia's in front, but the rabbits did go after it. So I actually have a couple more plants of that I picked up when I was in Michigan from Walter's Gardens, and I will be moving that and probably moving it to a better spot and figuring out a cage system that I think I'll be doing this fall, so I don't have to worry about it next spring. Now this is the annual purple fountain grass. So things I won't plant next year, I don't think I'll plant that, not because it isn't beautiful, but I planted that really just to kind of help take some space up because this is a newer garden. And I think there's some other grasses that I'm going to add in this space here. So that won't be here, as well as this grape luscious lantana will definitely not be here. In fact, I feel I need to rip that up today. It's just nothing. I absolutely will repeat growing the tall blue planet ageratum from seed. There's been times that this garden area, sometimes things go in and out of bloom, and that pop of blue has been consistent. So I do love that. This is some Buddy Gomphrena here, and I'll show you that in front as well. That will be a repeat for me as well. I started that from seed. So there's more of that skyscraper orange salvia, which I just, put here to really, I don't know, kind of create some continuity to the garden space over there. So some more Helen von Stein lamb's ear. I have that repeated in this garden as well. The Millennium Allium are spent, but I will keep I will keep the flower stalks up for winter interest. And then you can see way in the back, that's Bubble Bath. Look at that, still blooming. That starts in early July. I think Bubble Bath, I don't know. It's a lighter purple, but boy, it's more of a power plant than Millennium. So I don't know. Behind that, Lilac Maneri Zinnia. Now, the bunnies went after all of my zinnias. It was a very frustrating year for that. So I'll show you in the back. I did cage this in. I will grow this next year. Maybe this color, maybe another color. Actually, I really like this color. But there's some things I will not plant next year because I want to plant as many things I can that bunnies don't like. Now, I have to point out this very fine wine Weigela really looks great popped in there. So, and this is some penstemon. And that dark foliage, I mean, now the firelight tidbit is in front of it. But that's really made a difference in this space. So I have another very fine wine um, Weigela in another spot that I think I'm going to move, that I'm going to show you shortly. So now let's pull back a little here. There's some more of that midnight wine Weigela. And again, third place and kind of different coloring. It's more orange here than any of the other spaces, but just fabulous. More of that salvia. This is Audrey Gomfrina. I'm deciding whether I'm going to grow Audrey or Atomic Purple. Maybe I'll let you guys help me decide. Now here in front, this is Lemon Perfection Catmint. I have 3 mounds. I planted this at the beginning of the season. Look how just a nice mound it creates. This is a new variety coming out next year, Lemon Perfection Catmint. I think, so this is to compare it. That's Walker's Low Catmint behind it. I think people are going to grow this for the color. It does get really pretty little purple flowers. They aren't real significant right now. But I think about this, how drought tolerant catmint is, and just kind of having that pop of color. I think it's going to be a winner. I have some more green velvet boxwood here. And then this baby, I just picked up a couple more of these as well when I was out in Michigan. This is Raised for Days Heliopsis. So I'll have 3, and I'm going to somehow move that to the front of the garden. I don't know exactly where, but I almost can't focus right now because I just noticed I have more blooms. This is the Garnet Globes Summerific Hibiscus. Now, that's not just red, that's garnet. Beautiful. Properly named there, definitely. Let's see, this one's probably kind of going out. So I just planted this summerific from little quart size plant this spring. But how pretty is that? How pretty is that? And here is that celosia that I will grow again. This is Flamingo Pink. Just gorgeous. It doesn't look as good. It's pretty tall. This is not staked. Not staked. I don't know if you can see how tall it is. I'd say that's about, 4 feet tall, at least. So not staked. That's one thing I learned with celosia. It really doesn't need staking. So this is a quick-fire fab right here. It's a baby. It was really little when I bought it last year, but it's going to be beautiful. I think I have to get some more quick-fire fabs, but that's a whole different story. So I'm just going to show you back here. Here is the tall verbena that the bumblebees love. It's kind of messy for me, but they love it, so I'm going to keep it in the back of the garden. I did grow these Cosmo. I think this is apricot. I'm not going to grow them again. I did end up putting a cage around them, but it's not worth it. It just looks a little messy back here. If I were to grow, if I'm trying to pick and choose what I'm going to protect from rabbits, I'm going to grow this zinnia all day long. Lilac Veneri. Maybe I'll add another color next year as well. But I'm not going to start Cosmos next year. And on the story of celosia, this is, again, this stance. It's so tall, not staked at all. No stakes on there. Now, the color really does nothing for me. If I created bouquets, I would love, love, love this color. This is lemon lime celosia. So I may look at, can I grow something this variety that has a little more punch? Because you really don't notice it that much in the back of the garden. And I like it in the back of the garden. Really, really pretty. And don't worry, those little bugs are soldier beetles. They're considered good bugs. They eat aphids. And as we come up front here to the full sun gardens, on my left there is the Golden Spirit Smoke Bush. I bought it as a standard tree, and I love it like that. So the leaves on the bottom are darker green, and those are the older leaves. And the newer leaves, the newer growth, is that bright chartreuse. Just really pretty. Underneath there, some autumn fire sedum, actually on both sides of the gardens there. There's some green velvet boxwood, some more coral sedum. This peony right here is a John Smith peony. This is what I'm going to remove and replace with Bartzella. The Bartzella Etah peony is a phenomenal bloomer. This John Smith just really isn't. So it's going to go and Bartzella is going to take its place. There's some Millennium. I also did a comparison this year of the coral sedum right next to the Angelina perennial sedum. I still love the coral sedum better, but I am going to be planting more of that Angelina. It's perennial. You don't have to buy it every year. Gotta love that. Some calamint. So in this garden bed, I just planted these, was that last fall, denim and lace. They really haven't done, this is Russian sage, they really haven't done much this year, but it is their first year in the ground. So at this time of the year, that denim and lace Russian sage should be putting on a show. So hopefully in years to come, that'll make a big difference. And then here we have the lavender bubbles. This is the later blooming variety of allium. I think they look great there. I think they're graceful habits, and the way the foliage kind of falls forward is really pretty here. In front, we have the Millennium allium, and that's mostly spent. And then the beautiful arborvitaes and the Japanese lilac tree. In this front yard garden, some things are looking pretty good, but some things are looking quite tired. So the Glow Girl spireas, I'm hoping will change to kind of a beautiful fall color here. This sweet potato vine here, Sweet Caroline, is looking fabulous. The lamb's ear don't skip a beat when we have, drought and heat like we have been having. The Cleome, Senorita Rosalita, is doing wonderful for this time of the year. So still putting out some blooms. This pink cashmere verbena, the superbena, I don't know, I'm just about ready to pull it out. It's just been kind of messy, I would say, in the last month or so. So I don't think that's a repeat for me next year. Actually, I know it's not a repeat for me. And then these lovely seedless Concord barberries, looking fabulous as usual. Now over here, my hydrangeas just look sad in this front yard. Now the limelight here, this limelight standard, not looking too bad. There's definitely some brown spots, and that's what will happen when you have heat. And I don't have drip irrigation, so you do get the browning of the blooms. But back here is a Bobo hydrangea, just not looking good. I actually cut quite a few of the blooms off. It's hardly, it's not even 2 feet tall, and this is its 4th year. So I do think there's just a lot of sun up here. A hydrangea back here is also getting heat from the cement, so that certainly doesn't help as well. So I will be removing that Bobo back there, and I'm hoping to replace it with a beautiful grass that will have some of the red tones that are in the barberry. And as we come over here, this Gomphrena looks very fun and very happy. This is Atomic Purple. I grew this from seed. That is one plant. And this is one plant of Buddy. Buddy is shorter than Atomic Purple. I do love how they all blend together. And I love how the Gomphrena kind of hovers over the sidewalk. There's some more of that lavender bubbles allium. And there you can really see the difference between the Buddy and the Atomic Purple. So those are definite repeats for me. And right next door, this beautiful little petunia here is Purple Painted Love. That's been doing great all year. And then that's more of that tall Blue Planet Ageratum, which again is looking great. Kind of creates a nice little pop of blue in that corner there. Thank you so much for joining me today. The fall gardening season has just begun in my area, and I hope in yours as well. Have a fabulous day.